I wasted over $5,000 buying one product for my Amazon business, and the truth is, if you don't know what to look for, you're gonna make this same mistake too. So in this video, I'm gonna save you from my $5,000 mistake, as well as showing you several other very common mistakes that new Amazon sellers make, so you can save money there as well. Through the process of showing off some bad products, we're gonna be able to learn what good products look like, and I'll give you my favorite sourcing strategy for finding winning products. But I know your time is valuable, so let's just go ahead and jump into the computer here, and let's break down the 4 to 5 most common mistakes that are going to make you lose a ton of money, starting with the one that actually cost me about $5,000, right? So I pull up this as an example product because it has the exact same thing that was going on. So on this listing, just for the sake of example, we're going to say we can buy this for 30 bucks. Again, we'll actually source profitable products together in this video so you can see what the real numbers will break down at. But this is the mistake that I made, right? So my cost price was good. I was buying basically some kitchen knives that I was buying for about 100 bucks, and I was going to sell them for about $200 a unit, right? So similar math to this, but I didn't pay attention to the fact that on the buy box analysis chart, this chart on SellerAmp shows me which exact sellers are winning certain percentages of the sales on a listing. So for example, on this listing, it seems like there are 2 different sellers, both at basically the same price. And even this seller, who's definitely smaller based on feedback count, is even cheaper. But the last time they were able to make a sale is 2 weeks ago. And that's because this brand partner or distributor, or even sometimes you'll see the brand themselves selling on the listing already, they're able to get on this listing and hog a disproportionate amount of the sales. And on the listing that I was competing on, there was actually 4 to 5 different sellers, but I just didn't know that I needed to pay attention to this buy box analysis pie chart. And if I had, I would have noticed that one particular seller was winning 100% of the sales on the listing. So I just was never able to get any traction on that product. Instead, what you're looking for in a good winning product is something where you can see sales rotating to all kinds of different sellers. So this one is a great example of just like a Walmart brand pair of pants. You can see it's being sold by tons of different third-party sellers and third-party sellers of all sizes, right? So especially if you're new to selling on Amazon, just trying to make some money, you're going to see, hey, this person only has 10 feedback. This person only has 8 feedback. This person had literally 0 feedback and they were still able to win some sales, right? That's what you want to see. You want to see other people like you winning sales and seeing those sales rotate to lots of different successful sellers. So we're going to be able to use that idea to source a ton of winning products of our own. But I want to show you those other mistakes that you need to avoid before you start selling on Amazon, starting with this one right here. This is very, very similar, but I just wanted to show you that for the majority of products that Amazon sells, they're not going to share sales with you as a third-party seller. That's a really common mistake that I see new sellers make. They'll look at a listing like this and see, oh wow, it's selling a ton per month. The sales rank is really good. It's a top 10,000 toy basically is what SellerAmp showing me. But I can see Amazon is actually winning all the sales. That orange line showing that Amazon is always in stock, and they've won basically 100% of the sales based on this pie chart right here. So this is another just common thing you need to avoid here, as well as just a super basic baseline thing to check and make sure that the products that you're buying actually sell fast enough to be worth your time. So for me, I'm always looking for things that sell at least 30 times a month, and I'm just looking at the data on SellerAmp to tell me that. And that's not only just because you want to sell more stuff on Amazon, but the slower an item sells, the more time there is in between each sale that happens on that listing, which creates more and more time for the product's price to go down, bad things to happen on the listing. You just want to be sticking to things that have volume so that worst case scenario, even if prices do start to drop, you can always sell out quickly and you're not stuck on something that's a really slow selling item and also now not super profitable for your business. That's just like the worst case scenario. Another thing that's really important to check for and makes beginners lose thousands of dollars is looking at an item like this, where let's say we Google this product, we can find these pants anywhere from, seems like anywhere from $13 to $37, right? So let's just assume we're able to find a good sale on these for 25 bucks, right? Profit looks good, ROI looks good, all that good stuff, right? But the major problem on this item comes when we try to compare this to the average price that it likes to sell for, which in this case, I can see over the last 30 days, the average price was only 30 bucks. So we'd be losing money. Over the last 90 days, we'd be losing even more money. And I don't know about you, but I'm not running a charity. One of those things to check is to make sure that the profit you have found on an item is actually consistent, right? And when I look at the charts on SellerAmp, I can see how normally item is anywhere from like $33. You can see when I go along the price chart there, Amazon sometimes sells it for like $14. There were some FBA sellers back here for $27. And you just want to avoid products where it seems like as of this morning, the price went up to $50 and there's just no grounds in reality why that price would be significantly higher. Now, there are some cases where you might want to buy a product where the price is rapidly increasing, but there needs to be a real reason for it, right? So while I'm recording this video, it's the middle of summer, so prices are going to start going up on back to school products, right? That would make total sense. And maybe there is a reason for you to hop on a listing that is a little bit more expensive than it probably should be. But if you're seeing that reason why the price is going up, back to school, you're seeing demand increase, you're seeing the sales rank go lower and lower, that's like a real reason why the price should stay a little bit higher than normal. normal. On this example though, you can see the sales rank really isn't changing much. It's just doing its normal movement anywhere from 4,000 to 13,000 sales rank, which is really good, but it's not enough. And it's not a pattern that shows me that lots of people are buying this at least rapidly enough where the price should stay at that higher price point, right? So this is something that you need to avoid and watch out for. Just make sure that those profits are nice and consistent. And that takes me to the next mistake I see people make, which is just making bad purchasing decisions. You can see something like this. Let's say you were looking at this item a week or two ago, right? This item had 31 sellers right here. We can see on Keepa, price was anywhere from like 16 to 17.50. And I already see the problem as I go back in time, right? You can see back here, it was like 17.75, it was 17.50, and there were 7 sellers, right? So our supply, if that's how you want to look, just thinking about simple economics, our supply was 6 sellers and our price point, our equilibrium price was about 17.50. But then why is that same equilibrium price being spit out on this listing when there's literally over 3 times as many sellers, right? It doesn't make sense. And on these listings, you're going to see a lot of cases like this where that seller count just kept going up and then you see that price finally react. And the truth about selling on Amazon is that a lot of it is just understanding simple economics, right? So on these listings, I'm always asking myself, is this a reasonable price for this item given the current new seller count compared to what it used to be before? So in this case, I can see when that price was basically the same as it was when there were 3 times fewer sellers. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and it's almost guaranteed that price is going to drop pretty soon. And that's exactly what happened in this case. So I bring that up because a lot of beginners ask me, like, how many sellers is too many people to compete with? And the honest answer is that there's no like hard cutoff on too many sellers. I've sold some products that literally have like 200 sellers profitably when it's a really hot in demand holiday item usually. But when you see items like this, 43 is clearly too many sellers for this listing because number one, it has never had that many sellers, and number two, that price is already starting to decrease, and it probably should have even before that, right? So make sure that equilibrium price, that price you want it to sell for, is reasonable given the supply and demand of that product. And then that takes me to the last big mistake I see a lot of sellers making, and then we'll use all this to find some good items together. But one of the big things I see people not including are all of the costs involved of selling something, right? So I just use this as a random example because I know it's going to be heavy. It is carbonated drink. It's going to be really heavy. When I mouse over it on SellerAmp, I can see that it is actually 10 pounds. So when you're going out sourcing, what you need to do is make sure you already have all of those extra costs included in your profit calculator. So you can set this up on the SellerAmp settings, and you'll notice when I expand all the fees that I'm including when I'm buying this product, you'll see I'm already including about $6 to ship this product to Amazon. That's going to be pretty typical. When you're making Amazon FBA shipments through Boxum, which is the software that you use to make shipments, it costs about 60 cents a pound. Sometimes I do see closer to 30 to 40 cents a pound, especially recently, but if you want to be really conservative with it, call it 60 to 80 cents per pound. And you can just go ahead and include that in your SellerAmp settings. You can also go ahead and include any sales tax you might pay. So for example, if I punch in $10 here, you can see it's going to include a 5% sales tax. You can also include in a miscellaneous fee any like box costs that you want to make sure is included in every product, poly bags, all those little smaller fees that can add up. If you're working with a prep center, you can include the per unit prep fee that you're going to have to worry about to source all these items. So before you're sourcing, just make sure you're actually including all of the different costs that are involved. And shipping is especially the one that I see sneaking up on people. Looking at heavy products, the profits look great without including the shipping costs, and then you get it shipped in, you realize that you're basically doing charity work. You're making UPS money, you're making Amazon money, but all your profit went to shipping and all that good stuff, right? So just make sure you're including that. And if you are doing FBM on any particular product, you just go ahead and include a rough estimate of what that product is going to cost. If you need a good way to estimate those costs, next time you make a sale, just start plugging in some weights and dimensions and all that good stuff. And you can just write yourself a little chart of typical FBM costs, and that way you'll be able to include it there. But I figure for the majority of you newer sellers watching this, you're probably more interested in FBA. So just make sure you have that per pound shipping rate included in your settings. So let's go ahead and use all these red flags we talked about to find a good product that skips all of these traps that beginners make. I will also say there's a lot more technical, just small things I like to look for personally when I'm buying a product. So I left my full checklist of about 20 things that I look at before I buy a profitable product down below. You can download that checklist for free, and there'll be some more videos that show you how to source winning products. So make sure you download that free checklist down below. But let's go ahead and use just this example of the item we pulled up earlier, right? Because this is a product that has lots of success from other small third-party sellers. So that means that these small third-party sellers are going to have other products that we can find from big major retail websites, right? No marketing, no ads, nothing fancy needed, just buying things that stay nice and profitable and meet all of the kind of criteria we were looking for, right? So what I do to source winning items is go to the offers tab on SellerAmp, and then I'll just pop open one of the storefronts. It doesn't usually really matter. Usually I'll pick anyone with a couple feedback up to a couple hundred feedback. That's typically going to be like a nice solid online arbitrage seller that we can see what ideas they got going on. And then as we're looking through, we're able to see all of their products products. And this is usually going to be roughly sorted by what is the faster sellers. And as we go down through the list, it's going to get a little bit slower selling. That's not always perfect because it's mixing different categories and all that kind of stuff. And then we can also filter down to specific brands that we're looking for. So it seems like they are best at sourcing like Gap branded products right now. So let's go ahead and dive in and see if we can find anything based on that and start keeping in mind those red flags we just talked about. So we know that it's really difficult to compete with Amazon. So that helps me skip past these first 3 products right here. Let's see, we got like some kind of t-shirt dress or something. Let's see, this is going for $17.50 on the Gap website. This particular size is $19, so that's obviously not going to be profitable. Usually we're trying to buy things for about half of what we want to sell it for. What I will do though is check on Keepa and see if there's any really expensive versions of this. So I can go to variations and you can see it's showing 54 different sizes and colors and all that good stuff. And then when I go in here, I can see, hey, the most expensive version of this shirt is $30. And if I'm buying these for 17, I don't think that's going to be profitable. Yeah, like I said, usually you're trying to buy it for about half of what you want to sell it for. So that is not going to be profitable. That's just like the super basic way we can start diving into these items here. And let's see, so they got like some kind of polo. Let's see, so this one is 22. It seems like we can buy these for 14 and at least a good amount of these different colors. So let's go and do the exact same thing, right? So this particular size we started with is not profitable. Yeah, if buying for 14, I'm not in the business of losing $1.90 just for fun. But okay, this is more interesting, right? Because I can see lots of these different sizes are well above that mark where it would be about double what we're paying for it. So just for the sake of example, yeah, so if we sell it for 28, the ROI is a little low. So what I'm really looking for here is a $30 sale price to get close to my ideal ROI, profit, all that good stuff. And there are actually a really good amount of these polos above that price point. So for example, let's see, like this item right here, this khaki version, the XL has been at least like $33 very consistently, right? So we're not worried about one of those red flags where is this like actually a long-term consistent product for us. Let's see, do they have the khaki in stock here? Yeah, sweet. So khaki, I think it was the XL. Yeah, so the khaki XL is in stock and that was $33 and we can buy it for $14. Yeah, so there's an example of kind of a winning product that stays profitable. We can also see that this isn't a brand that several third-party sellers are having success with. So I'm not worried about getting kicked off the listing or not being able to sell the product, that kind of thing. Let's see. So there's like grape and Arizona brown and gasoline green. There's lots of different options here that would be profitable for us. And to be honest, it's like almost an overwhelming amount of different opportunities here. So what I would probably do is just go color by color, specifically with the ones we know are actually in stock over here. Like I saw there was like a peony one that was profitable on the listing, but I'm not seeing it anywhere over here. And usually when I'm looking at clothes, I just start with the most basic colors, kind of the stuff I figure they're almost definitely going to have. So like black, for example, I knew we had a black listing and yeah, so it seems like all the black ones Amazon's already selling. You can see that in the variations chart over there. Whereas if I compare that to something like, let's just try this blue. If I plug this blue in, see, they're calling it like Skipper blue. Yeah, this one's definitely interesting. You can see this is actually the only one that has sold. You can see all these other ones, no one's ever even tried to list. There's no history of this being sold, but it looks like whoever tried to sell this large, they were in stock for a couple days. You can see that buy box showed up and then they just disappeared. So I assume they sold out selling that large for $36. So to me, that amount of profit is worth taking a risk, assuming that it's probably going to sell for me. Maybe you pick up a couple other versions of this color as well, different sizes, spread your risk across multiple listings and see what kind of money you can make. And so now that we've been able to find a couple good products that actually do meet all the criteria, don't follow any of those beginner mistakes, the next step of selling products on Amazon is going through Boxem. That is the software you'll use to make FBA shipments, list those products on Amazon, track how much money you're making, the back end of your Amazon business. And since you've watched all the way here, it's clear that you're serious about improving your life with selling products on Amazon. So the next step is going to be to grab 2-week free trials of SellerAmp and Boxem. Those are the softwares that you'll actually need to source and manage your entire business. Again, you can grab those for free down below. And while you're down there, let me know if you have any questions, comments. Always happy to chat with you guys. And if you want to help me out for completely free, takes 0.2 seconds, hit that subscribe button, help me get a shiny 100K YouTube subscriber plaque. And if you want to learn even more about selling on Amazon, I made you a completely free 4-hour-long Amazon course. Click this video right here to watch it.